This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. Happy Super Bowl weekend. Get ready for those parties tomorrow. And don't listen to those dietitians that just like to say, oh, here's how you can eat healthy for the Super Bowl. You have my permission to eat whatever the hell you want tomorrow during that Super Bowl party. This is Grow Omaha, the only show in the metro area that focuses on real estate, construction, really anything related to Omaha becoming bigger, more vibrant, and more prosperous. Thank you to our sponsors. They are Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics. And now it's time to introduce my co-host, a man who, as of Friday night, was the three-time winner as the NAI NP Dodge Commercial Real Estate Company top producing broker, Trenton Magid.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the recognition, and it was a surprise to me as well, but I do appreciate that.
Yeah, just so people understand, that means that you're the highest performing broker in NAI NP Dodge. And for those people that are new to the show, Trent and I are both part of the NP Dodge family. NAI NP Dodge is the commercial real estate arm of the company. And we've been with them for about 9 years. And, you know, Trenton, you've won that award probably the majority of those 9 years.
I have.
I don't want you to get fat-headed, though.
I'm already fat-headed, but fat-bodied, too. But I appreciate all the people in our office, Deb Grave, our fearless leader, Jeff Beals, who does a lot to run the organization as well with her, and a lot of colleagues, and we collaborate on a lot of projects. And I don't think we do enough talking about what our day job is, because there's a lot of people that listen to our show, get all this free content. They get our newsletter, which comes free every Thursday afternoon. Jeff hits a button after spending many, many hours along with the collaborators and our 8 writers. And so everything we do, we want people also to know that if you have any business real estate need, whether it's investment, sales, whether you're looking for space, leasing, any real estate advice you want in the commercial world, give Trenton Magid a call, because I do this show because I like it. I like to pay it forward. Jeff and I are building a little media company with a lot of help from other people, but my day job is transactional.
Yeah, and obviously does a good job of it, takes good care of his clients. So, Trenton, I'd vouch for you.
Thanks. I got to vouch, you guys.
I've been waiting years to be able to vouch for you. So we don't have a restaurant review this week because we do them every other week. Chris Corey is our restaurant reviewer. All Makes, the office and furniture technology company, sponsors it. But you can read any and all of our restaurant reviews, even when it's an off week, by going to growomaha.com and clicking on reviews on the navigation bar. And one other piece of housekeeping, we have launched a Grow Omaha LinkedIn page. We've been posting links to our articles and our content on Facebook and Twitter, X for many, many years, but we just did LinkedIn, so you can interact with us there as well.
By the way, congratulations. We've surpassed 40,000 Facebook followers.
Almost. Yeah.
It says 40,000. I know you click on it, it's probably a little bit less.
Oh, does it say 40,000? Okay, because I thought this morning it still said 39. Let me see here.
But we're very fortunate, and the newsletter goes out to how many people, Jeff?
A little over 23,000 people are getting the newsletter. And if you're not one of those, just 2 things you could do. Send an email to news@growomaha.com saying that you want to be part of it, or you can sign up for it at growomaha.com.
It takes about 2 minutes, and it's free. All of our content is free on all mediums, and we appreciate it. And we're getting great feedback, and we sometimes accept constructive criticism. And if you don't hear back from us, then we noted it, and we just decided not to respond.
And with that, we're going to go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Their office is located on 114th Street, just a couple blocks south of West Dodge Road. And they are open normal business hours, but you can also interact with them online. Either way, you want to talk to them if you're thinking about buying your next piece of the American dream. We are, of course, in February now, so this is that time of year when people are really starting to think, okay, I got to look for a house. We've been thinking about moving and got to look for a house. One of the first things you want to do is sit down with a mortgage broker at Eagle Mortgage. Keep in mind, they are not a bank. They're not beholden to a bank. They work with a variety of banks, so they match you with the best lending solution for you. And they really take the time to get to know you and figure out your unique situation before they match you up with the most ideal lender possible. Like I said, you can find them in person, 114th and Davenport, or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Well, starting off today, the Harney Street Bridge over Interstate 480 is now closed, and it will remain closed for about a year. It'll open late this year when it is completely rebuilt. Kind of needed to have it anyway, as it was over 60 years old, but what sped it up is the streetcar project. Very exciting, Trenton, because this is one of the first visible signs that we are really getting close to construction, and getting these bridges started means that it's not that far away before we actually start to see tracks laid in concrete.
Part of it they delayed for a week. I'm not sure which part it was. And then I want people to know that the property I've listed at 2909, the EB & Sons Painting Building on the south side, right by the on-ramp, is still for sale. 4,000 square feet right by the church. Easy access, drive door, some office space. Nice little building for anybody that has a business or wants a little investment. So give Trenton a call for that one. Go ahead, Jeff.
For clarification, they did delay the actual start of the work, but it is still closed. It is already closed. And that's just Harney Street. Next year, 2026, they'll do Farnham Street, because the streetcar will go westbound on Farnham and eastbound on Harney. So in 2 years, we'll have 2 new bridges there, but only 1 closure per year. All right, moving right along, Omaha's office to residential conversion pipeline ranks near the top of America's largest real estate markets, this according to Rent Cafe. So they did a report on adaptive reuse of office space, and it showed that Omaha's gross number of office to apartment conversion units in the 2025 pipeline ranks 16th out of all of the major cities in the country, with almost 1,300 units in place. So this would include projects like the FNBO main bank building and the Duo, and then some smaller projects as well. New Style Development is the company behind most of those units, and they, of course, are doing both the Duo and the FNBA main bank building. Nationally, the 2025 pipeline will be record-breaking with 70,000 apartment units created out of former office space. Omaha right in play there at number 16. So basically what that tells you is we've got more office unit to apartment unit redevelopment activity going on than most of the cities that are bigger than us.
Totally understandable, Jeff. And I wonder if they exclude, I know what the title says, but I wonder if they exclude industrial, old multi-story industrial buildings, because a lot of those are easier to convert because they're larger open spaces. Sometimes office buildings might have a lot more columns, might have different uses. So in any event, it's totally understandable. There is a big question mark in the office market where a lot of people think that the work from home, the work out of a cafe or whatever is here to stay. So it's not going back to 2019 levels. And so there's a lot of people that aren't going to wait to find out what happens or how people are going to get back to the office. So they've just accepted it, and they're saying, okay, we have shortage of apartments, we have shortage of condos. We're going to do some adaptive reuses and hope for the best.
I'm pretty sure it does not include those old brick warehouses to which you referred. It is truly office building. And we're fortunate in Omaha that a lot of our office buildings that are no longer considered cutting edge for office use actually lend themselves well to retail conversion. Like if you look at the Duo towers, they're more rectangular than square.
Exactly.
Same thing with the old FNBO main bank building at 1620 Dodge, more rectangular than square. If you had, let's say you had an office building with a massive a full square block
Footprint.
floor plate. I don't think you could do that. You couldn't turn those into apartments.
Sometimes you'll see they'll do like a interior, kind of like the UP square, where you'd have
an atrium,
big atrium in the middle of it, and then interior hallways that kind of exposed.
Yeah, because I know they were saying, like in New York City, a lot of those office buildings have such big floor plates that they can't really convert them into apartments, and a lot of them will just be torn down.
Apartments have to have windows, whether they open or not, I believe.
So Eppley Airfield broke its all-time passenger record last year. We've already reported that. And if you don't recall, it was almost 5.28 million passengers went through the Eppley terminal last year. And so I'm sure a lot of people are saying, hey, that's cool. Broke their all-time record. We like seeing that. We thought it might be interesting to share with Grow Omaha listeners how that compares to some other medium-sized metro areas like Omaha. And so we put together a list of several mid-sized metros whose airports had less traffic than Omaha's did in 2024. So keep in mind, Omaha, 5.28 million. How does that compare? Buffalo, New York, less than Omaha.
No way.
5 million. Memphis, 4.9 million.
Yes.
Memphis has probably, 300,000 or 400,000 more people than the Omaha metropolitan area, and it does. Buffalo, New York metro has about 200,000 more people than Omaha. So both of those trailing. Louisville, bigger than Omaha, but fewer passengers at 4.8 million. Reno, Nevada, 4.8 million. Oklahoma City, quite a bit bigger than Omaha, but only 4.6 million passengers. Grand Rapids, Michigan, just a smidge bigger than Omaha, very, very close, 4.17 million. Tulsa, right about Omaha size, maybe just a smidge bigger, only 3.25 million. We were way more traffic than nearby Des Moines, Iowa, which only had 3.18 million, and Wichita, Kansas, less than 2 million.
Okay. So, are those people that are visiting Omaha, or those Omahans that are getting the heck out of here during the winter and coming back? Do they break it down on whether it's visitors to Omaha or people from Omaha leaving and coming back?
Well, both of those are factored into every airport.
Right, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Omaha, of course, Omahans have a lot of disposable income, so they do travel and do vacation at a respectable rate. My guess would be higher than the average metro area. But you also have to keep in mind, too, that for its size, Omaha has a shocking number of corporate headquarters.
Right.
So you get a lot of business traffic into the city for that. We also, and we're going to report on this later in the show when we talk about tourism numbers last year, a lot of conventions and youth sports traffic coming into Omaha as well.
Yeah, I don't want to be a negative Ned because we're pro-Omaha, but at the same time, it's interesting. And obviously we want to increase the visits to Omaha, bring the money here for tourists and business and all kinds of things, rather than just flying out, spending money, and coming back.
Well, and you can make the argument that we like both, because if Omahans are flying out a lot, it's a good sign that there's a lot of disposable income, and I think it's good for the populace of a city to be well traveled, and I think Omaha people are well traveled, partly because we live in the center of the country, and partly because our cost of living is low enough that people here can afford to travel.
And we get ideas for our built environment as well.
Amen. Well, speaking of how Omaha stacks up, the city ranks number 8 among the nation's top cities for growth in cybersecurity employment, also in the growth of wages. This is according to an organization called Upwind, which examined 44 U.S. cities that are known for a lot of cybersecurity presence. And they looked at growth from 22 to 2023. Omaha had a 10.6% increase in wages during that year and a 5.8% increase in employment. That put us at number 8. Like I said, the top 5 were Indianapolis, Raleigh, North Carolina, Cleveland, Kansas City, and San Francisco. I almost said Sacramento, but it was San Francisco. And finally, we've got a cool piece of news related to architecture and design. The iconic St. Cecilia Cathedral has started a campaign to construct a new outdoor plaza and memorial garden right outside the cathedral's doors. This, according to the Catholic Voice. It'll be an $8.2 million project, And here's something really cool about it. It fulfills the original vision of famous Omaha architect and designer Thomas Kimball, who designed the cathedral and died in 1934 and didn't even get to see the cathedral finished. And the gardens and the plaza that he had part of it are still not finished.
So it's his designs, and now it's finally getting finished.
Yeah, Leo A. Daly is doing the final design for modern, but it's all based on Thomas Kimball's vision. And for those of you that are not big Omaha history aficionados, many of the great Omaha buildings in history were designed by Thomas Kimball.
John Latenzer, others.
Yeah, great. We had some great architects in those early days. All right, that's your news of the day, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. We're going to take our first break, and when we come back, Trent and I are going to talk about a really big news item that happened this week. What's going on with the Good Life District in Gretna? It's getting more and more fascinating each and every time the Gretna City Council has a meeting. So that's coming up. Don't miss it. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Well, that'll be
You get to talk about your meeting.
Excellent.
Oh, man.
And we're on Uncut.
Yeah, we're working. Yeah, Chris, like, I'm sick of editing Uncut. Boy,
You never edit Uncut.
Andre Bocelli
It's Uncut.
on Thursday night,
Yeah.
unbelievable. The club seats were expensive, but
That thing you left our award ceremony for earlier?
yes,
Yeah.
I got my hardware. So at the club lounge, I saw Hal and Mary Dobb.
Yeah.
They don't age, number one.
I saw them at Brinker Harding's City Council fundraiser on Wednesday.
Where was it at?
Timber?
Yeah, how was it?
Good.
Good crowd.
Hal and Mary were there. You're right. They don't age. Hal and Mary, if you're
80.
listening to this, congratulations because you don't age.
85 years old.
Is that how old he is now?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, are you like 80? He's like, and he's stealth. Like, he's just like
Oh, yeah.
solid.
Oh, and like he
He's like, what can I do for you?
and he moves around.
Love you, man. Love
he
you.
moves around like a much younger guy and all that sort of thing.
Need tissues?
Uh,
Okay.
oh, thank you.
I just heard you sniffing.
Oh yeah, I'm allergic to.
Oh, I thought
something in
you
this
thought he was
building.
getting so excited.
About Hal. I thought I got emotional
Tissue.
over Hal.
No, that's not where that was going. Never mind.
What was
Put this box
And no,
back
I
over
don't.
here.
And no, I don't need a tissue because I have my own box.
Oh, is there a box over there?
But thank you for your kindness
have
and
to be
generosity.
No.
Okay. You got one more follower since you talked about how many followers. You're
That
at
was
39.
totally worth it.
You're at 39,972.
Are you kidding? Okay, let's do a push to say but it says 40,000 just because they round up.
Mine says 39.
Mine says 39.
Mine was 40 before. A couple days ago, mine was.
It says 39.
You could have.
I think that would have been impossible for it to jump and then drop it that much. I think. Are you sure you weren't looking at the 20 under likes? You're thinking 40?
Well, likes you have
20.
20,000.
And that's an even number. Did you see that and made me think 40?
No. Yeah, I was doubling it by 9.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to bail you out. I'm trying to help you save face.
You did see it.
39,972.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll hit it by the end of this weekend.
The end of the show.
So I met with a potential advertiser this week, and I was telling him about, mostly we talk about the website because that's where the ads are, but I was telling him about the Facebook page. I'm like, oh, we'll have 40 by the end of the week. We've got till midnight to get about another 28.
You might want to do a radio push,
Yeah.
Maybe
Ray Anderson's wife are greatest show to listen to while driving through Kansas. Love Trenton and Jeff.
But if you're driving through somewhere more interesting, maybe not.
30 seconds.
what was that phrase? Something about best part of my morning is waking up and.
Yeah, we had that on the website for a while, like it was a fake quote. Best part of my morning is waking up to Trenton and Jeff.
Yeah, there was another thing I did with that too that was pretty funny. Like for the joke. Oh, it was an ad.
Yeah.
Remember, it was like a
radio
a
ad.
guy and a gal were talking.
Yeah.
Just tell that's where it's hilarious.
Yeah, and she was like,
Like,
I love waking
Here we
up
go,
to Trenton and Jeff.
I mean, who doesn't, right?
Paid actors.
And we didn't think they would run it, and they ran it.
In the morning and Steve Parker in the afternoon. This is Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station. News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Well, good morning and welcome back to the show. Jeff Beal sitting next to Trenton Magid. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center along with Cheer Athletics. That is the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym. What is all-star cheer? Well, it is a very competitive sport that is gaining tremendous popularity. And in fact, in 2028, it'll actually be part of the Olympic Games. And if you want to get your kid involved in that outstanding way to compete and develop not only physical fitness, but leadership and communication and teamwork skills, go to Cheer Athletics. It is the Cadillac of all-star cheer gyms. There are about 12 or 15 of them around the country, and the one we really care about is right here in Papillion, southwest of Highways 50 and 370. Cheer Athletics. CAOmaha.com. Well, we are going to talk a little bit about Gretna. Trenton attended the Gretna City Council meeting earlier this week. And before you start saying things like, well, he must not have a social life, know this. There's a lot of drama going on in Gretna right now with this Good Life District. Trent, I'll give a quick overview of where we're at, and then you can kind of fill in what you saw and heard at the meeting. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
All right. So, the Gretna Good Life District was created by Rod Yates, owner of Nebraska Crossing, who intended to build a massive project. And in fact, recently, he said that project would be possibly $5 billion. 4,500 acres would be called Collegiate Crossing, would have nothing less than a National Hockey League arena, the U.S. Olympic Volleyball headquarters, massive youth sports complexes, and office, retail, hotel, entertainment, and residential buildings. But there was a problem. Rod and the city of Gretna saw things a little bit differently. So Rod then pulls out of the Good Life District, tells the Nebraska Department of Economic Development that he thinks the project is no longer viable. But Gretna wants to keep its Good Life District. They have other developers in the area. So Gretna is trying to save this district so it can develop some pretty cool projects. Keeping in mind, these Good Life Districts were created in order to bring transformational real estate developments that provide a whole bunch of retail and entertainment opportunities to Nebraskans and pull a substantial amount of their revenue from out-of-state visitors. Well, during this week's Gretna City Council meeting, another developer by the name of Woodsonia Real Estate, which controls land just west of Nebraska Crossing, but inside this Good Life District, came to the council. Trenton, you were there, and what did they say? What did they present?
Okay. So, Jeff, I think that was a great recap. And this has been going on for about 2 years. Rod Yates, Johanna Boston, part of Nebraska Crossing. Frank Krejci was originally the partner on that, and Rod took it over. 450,000 square foot, more or less. Very nice mall, brings in a lot of traffic, and he has that, and he might have a little bit more land, but it doesn't have a lot of land. Woodsonia has they control about 150 acres, maybe more, and some other plots, they said during the presentation, which they gave. And Mulhall's has about 80 acres over there that they've owned for 20 years. And there's other big-time developers. There's probably about 90-something different owners over there, okay? So this whole thing, Rod spent 2 years putting this together, talking it up. The other developers give him credit for it and the vision. You got to have vision to do anything like this. Where something went off the tracks, I think, was the Transformation Act. They passed 2,000 acres is what it's allowed. There's a plot, there's a boundaries of this thing. And then for whatever reason, after he got the application approved, Rod Yates has the application, he started saying that this should be bigger, more than 2,000 acres. It was 3,000, then it was like 3,500. It's gone up to 4,500, but it's not part of the Transformation Act legislation. So basically what happened was they gave a term sheet to the city, and they had big demands for the city, and really probably unconstitutional, and it just wasn't viable for the city. And I think that the city council and the mayor had no choice but to be amicable, but they did the right thing and denied it. And then the head of Woodsonia came in and said, well, I still want this to go. The mayor, who's very capable of keeping decorum and keeping things rational, Mike Evans, said, we still want this. And so the city council wants it. Woodsonia comes in and says, yeah, it's open to other developers. We control some other land. We want to do this. Now, to be fair, you can put a great presentation together, and they gave a presentation. It shows a travel center called Wally's, which there's only 2 others in the country, so it's not a huge chain or anything like that. They show 50,000 square foot truck and travel center, family center, 200 gas pumps. Now, it has competition out there, and that's huge. I mean, you can put all this stuff. They also have a 125,000 square foot, or excuse me, $125 million covered amphitheater with an international group that would seat 15,000 people, a Jack Nicholson designed golf course. What else they have, Jeff?
JW Marriott Hotel.
JW Marriott Hotel. So,
Omaha would probably be one of the smallest markets to have one of those if they pulled that off.
And mind you, they couldn't get a JW Marriott downtown by the convention center. So you can put all this stuff together and chase tax dollars, and we're called Grow Omaha. We like this, but there's a difference between putting all this on paper just so you can get incentives and things like that and have it actually happen. So there are safeguards in the legislation that if they don't develop so much and they don't build so much and do the transformational projects, they're not going to get that money, okay? And then Rod Yates comes back and says, everything I just created, they gave him pretty much what he wanted, but for whatever reason, since the city of La Vista wouldn't do his huge project, Gretna, then he tendered back his application that was approved, opening the doors for another applicant, which we assume might be Woodsonia. And then Rod has another legislative bill through another legislator for Bo Ballard of Lincoln is the senator. Okay. And said, now I want to do 1,000 acres. We don't know how much land he controls. Rod's very capable. We don't know, as a friend of ours, we don't know why he switched sizes and things like that, but it's anybody's guess what's going to happen. And then the governor comes in, Governor Pillen says, this $5 million we attributed to this in the budget, and the 2.75% sales tax, even though there's a project in Grand Island, even though there's a project in Bellevue, this water park that looks pretty cool, and one out on 192nd and West Dodge Road, maybe we should just scrap this whole thing. So the folks that have these other projects and the people in La Vista are fighting to keep this alive. I think it makes sense for La Vista. Hopefully people can get back on track and work it out. And there's room for everybody in that project. But deals have to make sense. And it's not a huge area. So to think that, if you do 5,000 acres or whatever it is, you're going to need another 1 million people.
So to sum it all up, the Good Life districts are still here. Gretna's trying to save theirs, even though the original applicant pulled out. The original applicant is now pushing legislation through the legislature, which may or may not pass. That would allow him to do the development through a different mechanism and not be part of the Gretna Good Life district or the city of Gretna even. Meanwhile, the governor is looking to end the Good Life district, even though a lot of people have already invested in these districts. If you're confused, you're not alone. And while we have to break for the news today, know that we are going to continue to follow this story. And as it comes and goes and develops or possibly dies, we will keep you informed and up to date. And with that, we'll break for the news and want to appreciate everyone being with us. It'll be just a few minutes. We'll be back, but the show's brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Tired of walking into a town and
Did I do okay?
Yeah.
It's a hard subject.
It's so, it's
And I think we're fair with both of them. You know,
yeah. Well,
Uncut.
they both have great ideas, but they're both thinking pretty huge,
but
and it'll be every single one of those will be a tough pull.
yeah, I mean,
And any of those ideas will be a tough pull.
someday it'd be nice to see what Rod is thinking for what he's done, because he worked so hard to put all that together,
Yeah.
and then he like threw a bomb in it, and
Well, the
he had a
problem is-
reason for it.
Well, Rod says something different every time. It's a different.
I
It
think
seems like
he-
it's different every time.
Because he doesn't own the land, and you never took that into account. You can't put all your eggs in saying, I mean, you don't have to be in development if you read the term sheet
Yeah.
with the city, which is all public information in the November 5th election day, but it was a city council meeting, I was there. The term sheet says that in this 4,500 acres, of that which is in the city jurisdiction, that Rod can pay that anything he can't acquire for 110% or less of its appraised value, the city has to commit to that in the future. There's no way any city that did that, they'd go bankrupt, number one.
Yeah, you can't do it.
And then he wanted the city sales tax as well. So it's almost like he wanted to blow up the relationship with La Vista, and so he could go directly with the state. But then how do you take so much, a couple thousand acres of Gretna? I know I say La Vista a lot. Of Gretna, I get my suburbs mixed up. How do you take that much of a city and say, okay, you lose your extraterritorial jurisdiction? We don't have to answer to you for everything. We're going to collect all the taxes. We're going to do that.
It's against the law.
Well, yeah, and not to mention the 90-something owners who are going to say, I'm not agreeing with that. This thing would be tied up for 10 years.
First of all, I would say the odds that Rod gets his bill through the unicameral this year have got to be very, very slim.
Yeah, and
I mean, I'd be surprised if it even gets on the floor debate
Right.
out of committee.
and it's public record that Rod and people around him have donated heavily to Jim Pillen. What's not been talked about is the owner of Woodsonia. This is why you listen to the Uncut. Governor Pillen's son was in Drew Snyder's wedding.
And Drew Snyder is the head of Woodsonia.
Woodsonia, and they're all from Columbus. And I think even Kate, if I'm not mistaken, Casey Bielitz, the head of economic development for the state Department of Development, is from.
I'm pretty sure he worked in Columbus or Platte County before.
So let's see if one of these, if the Transformation Act stays,
Maybe
and
the
the
Good Life
Good Life
District
District, is one gonna go to Columbus? They've talked about Kearney, they've talked about
I don't think
Highway
I don't
370.
think it qualifies because in order to do these Good Life things, you have to have so many people come from out of state. Not being on a freeway, it's probably too hard to get.
Columbus is
people.
not on an interstate.
No, it's too hard to get people to Columbus if you're not on Interstate 80 or something like that. They don't have a big airport, or its town only has 25,000 people, and it's way far off of the
But
interstate.
if this legislation gets scrapped, there's a lot of money that you guys have forked over.
Well, look at Grand Islands is pretty far along, and 192nd and Dodge hasn't built anything, but they did that election. I'm sure they spent a lot of money on that. They probably spent money on architectural plans, and then Bellevue is counting on it for this water park that they have made a lot of progress.
And the
towards.
city's doing it themselves.
Yeah. I just can't imagine what the lawsuits would be like, what the political repercussions will be. One thing we didn't mention when we were talking about Woodsonia's thing, they've also proposed. This is another good thing you get on Uncut. A place called Looks Marketplace. The only one that exists that I'm aware of is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
What is it?
It started out. It's been there for decades and decades.
It won't compete with the travel center?
No, not really. Maybe a little bit, not really. It started out decades ago as a meat market, butcher, kind of like a nicer, higher quality butcher shop for decades. And then recently, it's my understanding, it is now kind of like a cool meat market and grocery and related stuff market, and then a full service restaurant. And my Sioux Falls family told me this week that the food's pretty good. That my, Devin, who comes to the show sometimes when he's in town, he says the food is good, bordering on very good. That's how he described it. Good, bordering on very good. And then the other user that they have is the St. James Club, which is this massive,
400,000.
Think Lifetime Fitness, but bigger and grander than, like if any of you have been to Lifetime Fitness at 168th and Center, bigger and grander.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, bigger and grander than Lifetime Fitness. There are just 2 of them in the Washington, D.C. area. I've actually been in one of them.
And the population is a lot bigger there.
They are incredible.
Is it kids and adults?
Yeah. Now the question is,
we have all these other programs and soccer fields and all this other stuff.
well, I think a lot of what Woodsonia is proposing could work there, because it's Interstate 80, because Nebraska Crossing already draws a lot of people, because it's between Omaha and Lincoln. The St. James Club I'm a little skeptical about, because as I understand it, the most of their money, as I understand it, comes from members going there to work out. Well, you need a lot of people nearby there. It's things that like the amphitheater, no problem, because people go
Destination.
But if you're living by Village Point, you're not probably going to go all the way to Gretna to the St. James Club. Yeah.
Hey Jeff.
Yeah.
This upcoming segment probably needs to be shorter since we went long.
So 1, 3, and 5. I blame Jeff. The 1, 3, and 5 radius.
We always go long in the first half.
I know.
The 1, 3, and 5 radius populations have got to not be that great.
For something like a fitness club, they're
30
almost
seconds.
non-existent. I mean, because there's nothing to the south to speak of. Because they're planning on putting that south of the Bellevue, I just did it, south of the Gretna Water Park. That was opened a year ago.
I want to see if the people would go to the
10 seconds.
water park.
I think the water
It's not
park.
visible from the.
I think it'll knock
from the
it out of the
interstate.
park. Yeah. See what I did there?
I think I'll get knocked out.
Here we
of the
go.
park.
This is Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station. News Radio 1110 KFAB and KFAB.com and iHeartRadio station.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Maggot here in the KFAB studio. We're brought to you by Cheer Athletics along with Dingman's Collision Center. We've known the Dingman family for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And Trenton works with them from a real estate perspective. I tend to bring my damaged cars to them. Either way, they do a great job. They're great people. And we know you'll love working with them, too. 4 metro area locations. They got one in Southwest Omaha, 120th and Maple, Papillion, Saddle Creek Road in Midtown. All do a great job, Dingman's Collision Center. Well, it's time for our Noddle Company's Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week, in which we talk about happenings in or near one of the many, many Noddle Companies projects in Omaha. And let me tell you, Noddle Companies has a lot of them. Exarban Village, River's Edge on the Council Bluffs riverfront, Builders District in North Downtown, Steel Ridge in the Papillion Gretna area along Interstate 80, Village Point West Medical Center, and so many other buildings and projects that Noddle Companies has done over the years. Really, they're known for building special places and spaces. They're also known for headquarters buildings and really cool office buildings and awesome retail centers. Noddle Companies does a great job. You can learn more about them at noddlecompanies.com. So we're going to talk about 2 Noddle Companies places and spaces today. The first one is Inner Rail Food Hall and Sammy's Subs. That's hard to say. Sammy's Sub Sandwiches is one of the relatively new offerings in that restaurant incubator known as the Inner Rail Food Hall. They are now offering a sub sandwich that is inspired by the Reuben sandwich, which was invented many decades ago in Trenton's great-grandfather's hotel, the Blackstone in Midtown. Also, this is going to be a very big year for North Downtown. Of course, Noddle Companies has the Builders District, which is right west of Charles Schwab Field. Brad Williams last week on the show reported that construction is getting close to starting on a parking garage in the Builders District at 1515 California, but that's just one of many projects in that overall north downtown area. In the nearby Millwork Commons, you've got 3 apartment buildings under development, the Frame, the Nova, and the Dizzy Mule. Plus, we should start to see the Millwork Hotel start renovations this year. They're getting their own parking garage. And Creighton University has 3 construction projects right along Cummings Street. So North Downtown is on fire en fuego in a very good way.
We're excited about that. Hopefully some of these parking garages will be ready for, I'm not sure, but for the College World Series.
Maybe the 2026 College World Series?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. And that is your Noddle Company's commercial real estate development spotlight of the week. Got some good news for you. We have now launched Grow Omaha Sports. We're in the sports reporting business. Grow Omaha Sports is written by Cole Young. You love Cole. He's a great guy. And as his last name indicates, he's a young guy. Played football for the University of Nebraska Kearney, big sports fan, and he's writing those. Right now, Grow Omaha Sports is only on our newsletter. We might put it on the website here eventually, but right now, if you want to see it, you got to pull up the newsletter. The very first edition came out in just this past Thursday's newsletter. And if you don't get the newsletter, you can just go to growomaha.com, click on newsletter, then click on the most recent edition, which was February 6th, and then you can scroll down and see Cole Young's inaugural first Grow Omaha Sports column. Well, we got some good news about visitors to Omaha, Trenton. As we reported earlier, 2024 was a record-breaking year for tourism, but we've got a few little pieces of specifics for you. And one, hotel revenue last year in Omaha was $282 million, and altogether, tourists spent $1.5 billion in Omaha in 2024. That is a 5% increase.
Nice.
And according to Visit Omaha, which is the local convention and visitors bureau, that traffic is driven by, of course, business travel, but also conventions and a lot of youth sports competitions. And in that spirit, we've got some very cool news about a massive youth sports event taking place in Omaha next week. From Thursday, February 13th to Monday, February 17th, Omaha will welcome the A6 President's Day Classic. It's the 21st year Omaha has hosted this volleyball event, and it's one of the largest tournaments in the country. Demand for this volleyball event next week in Omaha never been higher. The tournament this year has reached its maximum capacity of 570 teams registered. They are going to bring in 13,000 attendees traveling from all across the United States and Canada. The players are age 15 to 18, so high school girls. They're competing in 3 venues. They'll have courts inside CHI Health Center Omaha, Union Bank and Trust Sports Complex in far west Omaha, and the Iowa West Fieldhouse in Council Bluffs. There will be college recruiters there. More than 10,100 hotel rooms are booked. So next week, if you see a lot of volleyball players, say, hey, we are glad that you are here in Omaha. Have fun and spend a lot of your parents' money.
Absolutely. That's a great event.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take our final break of the day. And when we come back, it'll be time for your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a very short period of time. I'm looking at the list, and it's really long. Stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
No, we haven't gotten any. We got to make a plug.
The problem is, radio is powerful when you build relationships over long periods of time. If you're driving people to take one action right now, radio's not good. Radio's power is in familiarity and relationships, and you do not like. Think about all those times we do live remotes. I mean, I don't want to discourage you for having us out to do a live remote, folks, but if you want to, like we say, come out and see us. Well, a lot of people come out and see us. Yeah. Radio is more of a long-term relationship thing. It's like kind of like some of you companies, if you're thinking about advertising on KFAB or any of these other radio stations, do it. It's a great way to advertise, but you got to do it for an extended period of time. Some people will say, "Oh, I'm going to do a 3-week radio run."
Right.
Not a good use of time. You want to do radio for lengthy periods of time, so you just like become part of someone's life. That's how radio
It's
works.
the long game.
It is a long game. And if you're willing to play the long game, it is one of the single best
It'll pay off.
media that is out there.
It'll pay off.
It'll be interesting to see the feedback on our Gretna overview.
Well, I think a lot of our listeners just, I'm not entirely sure you and I understand it. And we're
I'm not sure the city. It is.
You guys explained it better than I understood
It's
it.
like
so.
I have a
it's
hard
like
time
it's never been
understanding
done before.
it. At least in this state. I think they've done similar things
The
elsewhere.
legends and.
I already read that 3 times to try to.
But I don't know if you have a situation where the
Did you read
elite.
Jeff?
around it, yeah.
You should mention that you. Well, the big story obviously is.
Did I mention that we did a big story on it?
No.
Yeah. But what do you do? What do you do? All right, we'll fly through this because we'll be just a few minutes, right? That we'll have.
Yeah.
Any idea how many to music?
Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. About 5 minutes.
Oh, we can do a lot of damage. So we'll do pretty quick pace.
Yep. Here we go.
Rapido, rapido.
You say joust 5 seconds before we go. Finish her off.
Wonder Twin Powers.
Activate.
And welcome back to the show. It is time for your Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things in a very short period of time. Thank you to Perkins Kreitzer Construction for making this possible. They are a full-service general contractor, and they do projects big, medium, and small. They do it all. They are under the leadership of our good friend Dave Kreitzer. And wow, what a team Dave has assembled at Perkins Kreitzer Construction. You've got superintendents, you've got laborers, you've got project managers. Many of these people have individually been in the industry for 30 or more years. And it doesn't matter, like let's say, you want to build an office building or retail building. Boom, no problem, Perkins Kreitzer Construction. If you just want to do interior build out for a new retail business that you're opening or restaurant business that you're opening, boom, Perkins Kreitzer Construction. You can find out more by going to their website, p-cconstruction.com. All right, here we go. Interior renovations are nearly done at Cilantros Mexican Bar and Grill's new space near Oakview Mall. They had been at 144th and F, and now they're restarting. I went in, took a picture of it because I happened to be in the area earlier this week. Smaller than what they had, but it looks pretty nice.
You know what I say? We need more Mexican restaurants.
You're darn tootin'. And speaking of Mexican restaurants, Isla Del Mar will open a 3rd location. We mentioned that earlier, but where is it going to be? Shadow Lake Town Center in Papillion. They currently have locations near 132nd and Center, and the original one near 36th and Q in South O.
These are not small restaurants, ladies and gentlemen.
No, and not small portions of food.
You can have multiple quinceañeras at the same time at these restaurants.
It's what do you call it, buffets? Troughs?
Trough and Brew?
Trough and Brew. Otoro Sushi and Ramen will open in mid-February at 144th and West Center Road. They are replacing Panda House Chinese restaurant. So you don't see that every day, a restaurant going from Chinese to Japanese, but it's going to be happening at 144th, just a little bit southwest of 144th and Center. Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen opened this past week, Monday, the 3rd of February to be exact. It's in the parking lot on the north side of Village Point Shopping Center. Of course, they had an existing one at 120th and L. Did you know, Trenton, that Cheddar's is part of Darden Restaurants, which also has Olive Garden, Longhorn, and Ruth's Chris?
Wow.
You're a pretty smart guy. Dumpling Empire is expanding with a 2nd location, 158th and West Maple Road. They're taking over a former Dickey's barbecue pit next to Wingstop. Homegrown, the breakfast and lunch eatery featuring locally sourced dishes. They are opening, or no, they're open already. 3555 Farnham Street. That's the Blackstone Plaza building. Why is that building famous, Trenton?
Because that's where Warren Buffett is.
That's where Warren Buffett's office is. So I'm not guaranteeing that if you go have breakfast or brunch at Homegrown that you'll see the Oracle of Omaha, but at least you'll know you're in the same building. They're based out of Wichita, Kansas. They now have 12 locations in Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Arkansas, and most importantly, Nebraska. Raleigh Coffee Company has opened a second location, 178th and Highway 370 in Gretna. Original location is in North Downtown. This one's a little hard to say. La Michoacana Plus, Nebraska.
Sure.
La Michoacana Plus, Nebraska, will hold a soft opening today, February 8th, for its second Omaha location. It'll be inside the Isla Del Mar restaurant on 36th Street, along with a lot of quinceañeras. And the existing one is in the other Isla Del Mar restaurant. No word on whether they'll go to the third Isla Del Mar. The Spice and Tea Exchange plans to open in April between Chico's and Garbo's at Village Point. Really cool tea and spice place, locally owned. I met the owner. Can't wait for it
Jeff's
to open.
a tea guy. Cold tea.
I love tea. Cabin Coffee has opened its first Nebraska location at 99th and Portal Road in Papillion. Don't hold it against them, but they're out of Iowa. Just kidding. They've got 24
Hold it against
locations. Trenton's going to hold it against them. 24 locations in 8 states. The closest previously existing ones are in Winterset, Iowa, and Savannah, Missouri. Box Lunch, a national specialty retailer, holding a grand opening event coming up actually, I think I lied to you. It was February 1st and 2nd. You missed it, but you can still go to the place. It's located in the Westroads. And finally, On the Border Mexican Grill and Cantina in Papillion, closed, out of business, so they are no more. And that's it. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
You're still here?
No.
It's over. Switch to KGOR.
No, stay on KFAB. Well, at least KGOR is.
Do you get that?
At least
got it,
KGOR is an iHeart Media station in this building.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.